Good evening, ladies and gents. I am the Lord Otter, and I am joined by friends today for this writing stream. How are you guys doing? How's everyone doing tonight?
Doing well, chilling, enjoying the hot weather.
I feel
I
that.
am also I am also doing well. My name is Max. I voice Bart and other whatnot on the channel Drama Goblins. Inactive a whole 2 years.
That is how it goes sometimes. Inactivity leads to activity. It's the sudden change, the shifting of the tides. That's what really matters.
And I'm doing all right myself, cooling off after a long, steamy day outside, and nice to finally sit down in front of the laptop with the AC and have a little bit of supper. And yeah, so what do we got for that main topic tonight?
So the main topic for tonight, just kind of like while we're in between on writing, is we're talking about how world building, character, and plot can affect each other. Usually kind of like where we start and where it ends up taking us. That was kind of what I was thinking about, like focusing on for
Oh,
tonight.
how it affects the decisions you make in the writing?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Okay, I had that wrong. I mean I had the right words, but I was thinking a deep dive into story examples, how when this character did that and it changed how some of the world effects. I thought that's what you meant.
No, this is really just kind of like, I mean, like it's a free form conversation. Like this is just a general idea we can kind of center around, but I'm expecting us to meander. That's just how it goes. Just this is just a way for us to talk about writing while we also work on our projects every now and again. So yeah, um, it's up to you guys if you all want to talk about what you're writing on for the stream. As for myself, I'm going to be working on a short story that I just started writing. So far, it's been quite a bit of fun, and I am completely discovery writing.
Yeah. I'm
I
working
do
on
love
a
the
short story as well. Part of my ongoing villain series. I am on recently released episode 7. I'm currently writing episode 11. Got to keep up with the releases as I release bi-monthly.
Yeah, it was nice to see you start to try and use out some of them abilities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm trying to add in more action sequences. It can't all be drama. There's like, heroes and shit. People got to get punched.
Yeah, you got to have some action every now
you
and
got to have
again.
the fun and games put in there somewhere.
Yeah. All right, I am making one minor adjustment to my audio settings before we get started. After that, I think we'll be good to go ahead and start the countdown timer. In fact, I'll go ahead and start the countdown timer. So we're starting at 5 minutes countdown. This is just going to be us talking about writing. And then after that, we can get into just kind of like writing into whatever it is we're working on. So time to set. And the countdown is counting as we speak. So,
Yay. Writing.
writing is fun. I really like
Yes.
writing.
It's advantageous that we're talking about plot necessarily because my current story, I had the idea, but I just winged it. So now I'm racing to the midsection where I can take a break and actually plot out the rest.
Oh,
Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah, the good thing about, having a decent plot setup is one thing that I focused on here and try not to do too much is introduce too many too many minor storyline and minor characters and try to keep them all bundled together, because that could be a problem over time.
So where would you guys say you normally start whenever you're writing something? Would you say that you kind of start with the world itself, like the characters, or kind of like a general outline of the plot and go from there?
You ever see that sketch of two hands drawing each other?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty accurate description of it. But where would you say you kind of start first, just as like the first step?
Well, for me, on the stuff that I've gotten published, a lot of that was a mixture of, I'd say, 30 to 40% plot and outlining, gardening, writing type of thing, 60 to 70% pantsing, which is to say, just kind of going into it with rough character ideas in mind and a situation and just exploring what comes up. I experiment a lot to try and see if I can, because I'm still very early in my writing stuff, and far from the goal of mastery that I want.
There's
I'm
no shame in it whatsoever. I think most of us are kind of bumbling our way through. Even the purported masters do the same.
Yeah. Uh, for me personally, like to start with I like to start off with usually a character and a gag or some kind of very close personal moment or something very down to earth, you know. A character in an odd situation that is mundane to them is a very good way for me to enter into that writing space or that headspace of especially if it's like a project like a place that's not our world or our time, that I find is a good way to kind of get into the space of it, even if it's going to be a scene that I delete later or whatnot. Because I recall specifically some of the more fast projects versus the slower projects that I took longer on. The slower ones were the ones that I tried to do more outlining and do more ambitious storytelling with. Whereas, say, the faster ones, I would often get the reason they were faster was less because of, you know, just writing and whatnot. It's more because I don't get gridlocked as much.
Right.
Uh so I would definitely say for me it's characters and thinking up, okay, what would be cool characters and what cool scenes could I make with those characters, and then thinking those scenes up and then saying like, okay, with that in mind, what cool story could be told with those scenes and those characters, and kind of it's a mixture. It's a melting pot of ideas and methods, and I'm always trying different things and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I know quite a few writers who start out with characters. I'm sort of the weirdo who either starts out with it's kind of a mix between setting and plot. My Steel and Stormbright series, I actually started out by pretty much coming up with a few basic ideas of the world just down in like a journal or something like that. And one of the greatest ways I try to like map out a world is by literally mapping it out. I love maps, and that really helps to stir my imagination. So
Nice.
I'm kind of coming in from the opposite end of the spectrum, really.
Nice. Yeah, for me it's a bit different depending on the stories because I've been all my stories are located in the exact same world, so in a way they're all sort of sequels to each other. And there are some that are more direct than others, and those that are kind of direct, they sort of start off with the story that came before. Gives it a sort of outline towards where it's headed. But those that are more so original within the world yet separated, those for me usually begins with the spark, the idea that first sorts of begins the journey for the story to flourish.
Yeah,
I've,
definitely.
I've I've noticed that's I can take a small idea and turn it into a story rather quickly.
All right, it looks like we've hit time. So from here on out, I think each of us is going to go on mute and then spend another 5 minutes riding. So, for all of you who are watching, if you want to ride along with us, feel free to. Other than that, we'll be back in 5. All right, and that's time again. Well,
Nice.
I think that went pretty well for a short 5-minute burst of writing.
Yeah, that went quicker than it seemed.
Yeah,
I got about a paragraph done.
They're the same here.
I got about 1.5 to 2 paragraphs done. I can
I am
always
working-
You speed demon over here.
I can always increase the time if that's something you all would rather have. I can push it up
5
to 10
minutes is
minutes.
fine for me.
I'm cool with 10.
Either way's good
I'm
for me.
open. Yeah, I'm open to either or.
Okay.
I'm here either way, so.
So to summarize what I was writing, I got a paragraph, kind of. I say kind of because it's a bit mixture of editing and whatnot. I'm working on an article for my World Anvil account on my project. Specifically, a article called Dimensional Risk Identification and Classification System, and it is the in-universe method by which interdimensional pockets and other whatnot like that are categorized and described and organized.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm just starting to write out an action scene for this short story. It's going pretty well so far. Like, this is very much a first draft. So there's rough edges aplenty, but I'm not thinking about it too much anyway. Just going with what feels right.
And I'm working on a scene in a cavern where there's a mine shaft. An elevator's coming up with four bad guys on it, and 2 characters have to handle them. My biggest problem right now is, how do I make this interesting? This fight has to happen for things to move forward, but I don't want it to be boring. I don't want them to show up, beat the bad guys, and just go. I gotta do something a little different, you know what I mean? Because when you're doing an action adventure story, you can't have this brawl after brawl. That would get so boring so quick. Things got to be different from every. You got to see them handle things in a bit of a different way each time, to make in ways that like are a little outside of the box, you know.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that especially with action adventure, your story has texture, which is to say, you're not having too much of the same like tone or too much of the same beats going on at once or at the same time or in too close of sequence. You want to make sure your action beats have a good rhythm or a good heartbeat to them. You know,
You need variety.
Right.
Exactly, you need variety.
Some of that will come with editing, but as for grabbing attention, I'm wondering if like there's anything character related or even kind of like related to their environment or current situation that could help with that. Like if there's sort of like, I don't know, something moving in the background that's kind of like adding urgency, that could help make things just a little more tense.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm thinking more along the lines of how can I use this to show a unique way to use their abilities or to highlight an issue like a character flaw or a personality issue with one of them that can be useful later on. That's what I mean. It's like I'm looking for how can I, even in this, oh, they ran into a resistance, how can I use it to build the story? You know, that's what I got to figure out. Because you just don't want characters to show up, go through, tackle challenges, hit yay, we won, go home, and it's just, you know, it's kind of just
It's boring.
bland. You need them to like have an effect. You know, it's got to produce some kind of new info.
You want to make sure, you want to make sure your story doesn't become an and then story. You want to make sure it has good progression, character development, all through the usages of those transitions from action to character development and all that stuff. You want to make sure that you
You
have.
need good pacing.
Yeah, you gotta have a good pacing. But you also
And
want
there's
to make
also
sure.
something. There's also something I heard. I think it was the Russo brothers. I saw when they were doing one of those behind the scenes interviews for Infinity War. They kept they said like multiple times, each scene has to do more than one thing, and that might not always be doable, but that sounds like a good rule of thumb to keep things from going stale.
Oh yeah, I am a big proponent of that idea because so it's especially interesting in the context of a written form because in a visual medium of a movie, that idea, it's I don't want to say easier or harder to convey, but it's got a lot of similarity once you really break down what it is that you're conveying and how you're conveying it. So, for example, most stories are written from third person limited perspective. So we are not necessarily speaking from the perspective of our characters, but we are reading from a third person voice that is going to be thinking in the character's headspace, kind of thing. And I often play with that to kind of showcase a lot about a scene from more than just what is being told, just by the way of how that character is describing it in that way. Like, what does the character notice first, and what is kind of the what it's a lot of stuff that isn't even that I don't even need to directly tell, but is communicated just by using careful selection of certain words or sentences and what ordering things in a certain way. And a lot of this can be done in the edit, so you don't
Speaking of
even have to
which,
worry about it too much in the
our time just went up.
oh,
So
I already eat all the time.
it's going to be another 5 minutes of writing.
Alrighty. Let's rock.
Dan.
Indeed. And that's the 5 minutes up.
All right. I got about a paragraph and a half and some speaking lines.
Very nice. I got another 2, starting on 3, actually.
Nice.
So about 2 paragraphs in total. Raven Nevermore just chatted saying, "All hail the Fellowship." Hail
What's up,
Joseph.
Raven? I got if you count each line of dialogue from a separate person in a paragraph, then I did 4.
I mean, like, a paragraph doesn't necessarily have to be, like, so many sentences. It can just be one line, and that
So
can be
far,
perfectly fine.
So far, I've written 331 words in this session.
That's pretty good,
Nice.
actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the dialogue of these dudes as they're stepping out of the elevator and thinking, you know,
Yeah.
you got to get in the other two characters' heads. Where are they in the room? What are they looking at? What's their attitude like?
Let's see if
So
this
how would they
works.
react? What would they say?
Audio is still low on my side. I'm not sure what's going on.
Everyone seems all right on my end.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know
y'all
what it
seem good
is.
to me.
Right now, I'm in a fun sequence because my villain
Yeah, this
is
should
out
work.
of costume. My villain is out of costume, and he's being tracked down by the authorities. And they essentially shut down the transit station he was going to take to get out of there. So what he did is he went about, and well, without any spoilers, he's going to start a riot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I found it's cyberpunk, so you can use the cyberpunk aspects of your story, and the way he's gonna do it's actually just by, screw it, I'm gonna spoil it. Fuck it. He puts little microscopic microphones synthesized with 3 different people's voices, and he just speaks into a little microphone, or they're the speakers, and he speaks into them a microphone and basically just declares in 3 different voices across the station that they're looking for him, and that alone will stir up the crowd.
With my story, I decided to mix it up a little bit. It was pretty straightforward. So having this be a little bit of an experimental story, I just had my main character die within the previous paragraph, and I'm starting from a different perspective. Where that eventually ends up going, we'll see. This is also a bit of a unique setting. It's not exactly the real world. So
Okay.
I figure it'd be a fun way to tie some things together. I'm not sure where it's gonna go, but we'll just have to see.
Nice. Yeah, I have another story that's very abstract as well. I'm eventually gonna write, but those can be the funnest and the most unique.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm not normally one to discovery write, so that it's a bit of a new thing for me. I'm normally more of a like I like to architect to a certain extent. Like I'll still pants certain scenes and everything, but like especially for like novels, I architect the hell out of it. That's just kind of like generally what I prefer. So that like having a bit of variety really helps, and yeah, like at the same time, not judging the story too harshly. We'll just see how it can be improved. It's the best you can do.
Discovery writing, there's nothing like when the floodgates suddenly open and you just start cranking out a couple chapters in no time.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah, there is
but then
no.
all of a sudden you'll hit that point where it's like, where do I go from here? And then you stare at the screen for an hour.
Exactly. I mean,
There is.
go ahead.
I was going to say there is no elation or high quite like the vibe of when you get into the flow.
Yes, indeed. It's mental sex.
Mental sex. I've never heard it described like that, but I mean, it is a pleasure for the mind, so it's not a bad analogy. But yeah, I'm excited to see where our stories are going from here. I may end up working on another project here in a little while, but for the moment, this story is giving me quite a bit of enjoyment.
Nice. That's good. What
And
genre is it? What genre is your story?
kind of fantasy-ish, but I'm also going with a bit more of a surrealist vibe than what I
All right.
normally do. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Does that give you a
surrealism.
little more flexibility?
Surrealism and pantsing go hand in hand.
Exactly.
Kind of Dream Quest to Unknown Cadith kind of surrealism, or maybe like Alice in Wonderland type of surrealism.
A little bit of Dream Quest. Probably the closest thing I could really think of would probably be like Lord Dunsany, kind of like his sort of like style of pantsing. That's kind of what I'm going for a little bit, but a little bit of Dream Quest in there as well. All right, and that is time again. So another 5 minutes of writing we go.
Righteous.
All right.
And that's another 5 minutes. Welcome, Watcher of the Damned, otherwise known as R.H. Snow. She says, there are so many things happening, but I saw you here and I love you. This music is very chill. Why, thank you, R.H. Snow. You are absolutely the best. And I'll go ahead and reset the timer for us talking. That will take just a second. But yeah, I hope for all of you who are just joining us and perhaps staying a few moments, I hope you're all enjoying yourself. Just kind of getting a moment to chill out, rest, let the mind wander a little bit as we talk about many forms of writing and how all of this can influence us in different ways. Different sources of inspiration, world building, plot, characters, how each of these can kind of like tie together. So I made an interesting bit of progress on what I'm working on. This perspective shift is proving to be quite an interesting development. What about you all?
Got another 182 words done.
Oh, nice.
Yes, the trick is keep writing, don't fix your words. Don't think about the smart words you're going to use. Save all that for editing. You save your smart words and your descriptions for editing. Just get it on the paper.
Don't stop.
But that's
Don't
really
think.
good
Just
advice
write.
right there. That's something I need to heed. Because I'll sit there and go, yeah, I know the expression he's trying to make. How do I best describe it and stuff? And I'll sit there for a good 20 minutes getting that figured out when I can just do that on the redraft.
Yeah, the best way I like to describe it is don't get fancy at the, save the fanciness for later. If a guy has to pull out a gun, shoot your main character, and your main character groans hit the floor. Just write it exactly like that.
Fancy words are for editing and polish, especially for a first draft. It's quick and dirty. That's all there really is to it. It's not meant to be fancy. It's just meant to get the job done.
Like in my first book, when I was writing that, Ellie had to face off against a Coom on top of a generator. This is the first time they're really facing off, and I had to start a chapter with that, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And after sitting there thinking about it for way too long, I finally write, the farm girl did something awesome, and then we moved on. And then I went and started writing the rest of the story from there. Went back and actually wrote that battle later on.
I mean, write it now, fix it later. That's honestly become my writing philosophy. Write it now, fix it later. I don't care about how bad it is because I can always make it good later.
Yeah.
Now, if you're making a novel, there's certain exceptions to that, but especially for a short story, my mentality is just get the damn thing on a piece of paper and then fix it.
Yeah. But it seems to work, and I need to utilize that more. Like I said, when I just said, screw it, I actually wrote in parentheses, she does something awesome and entertaining, and then just continued with what happens after that. And sometimes later on, I find something that gives me the idea to go back and take care of that. And now it's become an opportunity to set something else up.
Yeah, I think it was... I think it was Ray Bradbury who said something along the lines of, yeah, don't think while you're writing. Just let the words bleed out of your fingers.
Well said.
And I really like Ray Bradbury's writing philosophy. His book, Zen and the Art of Writing, it's a fantastic read. Every now and again I'll read a book on writing, and that is a fantastic one to go over.
I have to pick it up.
Yeah, it gets a solid recommendation from me. That and Orson Scott Card has a really good one on writing as well. Not quite as profound, but still good. Pretty solid.
Yeah, I have a few books on writing, honestly. I have a lot of books. I think I actually have a compilation of the Joseph Campbell books on the various examinations into like the hero's journey and all that stuff. But I also have a few books by some editors that goes more into the details of prose and how to kind of structure prose.
Like
So
the
have a-
what is it? The elements of style. That's a really famous one.
Let me look real quick. I can probably find it.
Wrangler, I love your comment. I don't like having tentacles at all. Yeah, get those tentacles out of my story, all right? Yeah, I'm writing about a soul in a cave right now, and it's being pretty entertaining so far, I gotta say. All right, and that's another 5 minutes, so I'll reset the timer as we recommence with our writing.
The book was called Stein on Writing.
Stein
Axel
on
Stein.
Writing. Good to know. I'll have to check it out. All right, so it's going to be another 5 minutes of writing. Here we go.
is another paragraph down.
And I think that is 5 minutes up. I might have actually forgotten to set the timer, so that is completely my fault, as Raven noted at.
I didn't
He's
even
like,
notice, dude.
he's like, is the stream stuck? And I'm like, you know what? This is probably a good time to call it. That feels like 5 minutes. I'll go ahead and reset the timer.
So what I've got down so far, and what my project kind of goes into, is it's kind of a grim, not a grim dark, but more grim derp. If anyone has ever seen,
Fun.
if anyone has ever seen the series, If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device, it's kind of inspired a little bit by some of the tone of this kind of dark sci-fi setting, science fantasy world.
All right.
But with a bit of a comedic edge to a degree.
That sounds
I've
fun.
never heard that term before. That's awesome.
I've heard it in a few different places. I've heard it most from Fiona Wolf, if you've ever seen her talk on certain stuff. She loads Grimdark. I don't hate it nearly as much as she does.
Too.
But I mean
No,
it
how do you
I
guys
love the
like
term
it?
Grimdark.
Yeah,
I can
so-
take it or leave it.
It could be fun.
Yeah, so the project is basically a grim derpish kind of diesel punk far science fantasy setting, but with an edge of it being kind of this story is a dungeon delver story kind of thing where you go in, it's a very OSR old school D&D concept of you have a planet that is host to these massive hive cities called the mega cities, and the mega cities in question are these ancient abandoned structures from long ago, and they're filled with a lot of dimensional anomalies and these dimensional anomalies are the source of the mythic underworld in this regard, where space, time, and dimensional bleed through are kind of prevalent.
I love the idea of the mythic underworld, by the way. Just the idea that after a certain point of like either delving down or going into a mysterious area, reality itself begins to break down. I just think that's so much fun.
Me too. I love that idea so much, and I'm kind
That
of
is,
playing with that. I'm kind of playing it with it here because the idea here is that the cities, the world, and the presence that is causing these bubbles of unreality that lead into basically their version of the warp or hell. I call it the other world so far. It is alive, and it is basically using the fact that adventurers are idiots who will go into the hives with all these dangers to get treasure and get spaceship fuel, because that's where that comes from, is dimensional holes, and basically come in to get rich. Taking advantage of that and making itself so that it, like, basically the entire planet is alive psychically and is harvesting human souls to keep itself fed by way of luring in adventurers and leaving enough of them alive so that people will come back. If you kill all of your food and if you eat it all, no one's gonna come the next year after all.
I really like the idea behind that.
Irwin type go in there with a crew trying to do some kind of documentary on it, getting.
Guys, you aren't going to believe this, but this planet is alive.
That's why I'm working on the dimensional risk identification and classification system, is because it's gonna be something that kind of plays into stuff a lot. Is the system is basically an in-universe means by which this big kind of monarchy, kind of a company. One of the themes of the setting is that the idea between government, philosophy, religion, etc., have all kind of blended and merged over time into these weird hybridizations.
I know.
So,
I sort of have my own variation of the mythic underworld in our current campaign setting. It's the idea that it's actually humanoid intelligence and ego that actually makes sense out of things. So it's like the more you get out away from civilization, slowly by various degrees, reality itself begins to make less and less sense. It gets more kind of like, in a more Cockean sense, kind of like very chaotic.
Okay.
Kind of like,
I like
You
that
know,
idea.
that was actually the plan for a story I thought about writing, which was essentially like that, but in reverse. It would be essentially you start off as an individual going home, but then the entire world is beyond surreal, broken, every single normal aspect we know replaced by something otherworldly, a little bit Lovecraftian. The closer they get home to the journey, everything slowly starts to transform into the average, ordinary, and then finally, he makes it there, ordinary as can be.
Oh, timer's up.
timer's up. All right, it's going to be another 5 minutes of riding.
Let's do it.
Also, before I write, hi, Immortal Rising. Welcome to the stream. If you wish to ride along with us, you are free to do so. Otherwise, we're just chilling as we write. All right. That's the 5 minutes up. Time to go ahead and reset. Just had a very interesting twist happen. I don't know about you guys. It's a little bit of a unique structure, but I am kind of enjoying these short 5-minute writing bursts. Especially for pantsing, it's like a great buffer for me to have like a new idea pop up in my head or something.
Yeah, it gives the brain something to kind of jump on with.
Yeah, definitely. So it's definitely unique for sure. Probably not the ideal way I would normally write, but you know, sometimes you gotta step out of your comfort zone.
I have written another small paragraph about a thing called a temporal stratum.
Ooh.
Oh, cool. I got another 285 words done myself.
The ghost character I am following now is exploring kind of like an encampment of beastmen, and it's learning that to survive, it is going to have to possess one and manipulate its body.
Nice. My villain stole a child from its mother and rushed inside their version of a plane and using them as a hostage to get in the air.
Ooh, interesting. Is this a world without end, or is this a different setting?
Ova's world without end.
How many different zones does the world without end have at this point, I wonder?
Zones?
Well,
Different
is
ones?
zone the right
Oh,
word, or is it more like biomes or
I
kingdoms?
guess you could say biomes is better because a lot of the stories are based more off the biome, which kind of dictates the scarcity, you know?
Okay.
Because yeah, I have a cyberpunk kingdom, which is a biome in itself. It's sealed behind these magnificently large walls, and it's also in the middle of a desert, so its neighbors are basically like tribal people with minimal technology. They just scavenge together from the cyberpunk kingdom, and you go further away, the less tech there is.
Nice. Yeah, so there's a clear tech divide there, and I do like that. I do understand the sentiment with like whenever you're world building to have the world itself at a certain tech level, but I also love the disparity where it's like
Yeah.
some civilizations are a lot more technologically advanced than others.
That's actually
That's one of
something
the
we
things.
we get kind of lost in the foliage over when we think about these things. Like often I tell people, you know, there's like areas where it's so low tech they use swords instead of guns. People say, well, how does that work? It's like, well, yeah, that's kind of how our world is. You just gotta essentially increase the difference between the technological divide, because there are places in our world where people fight with bows instead of guns and shit.
Yeah, like I mean, hell, and to a certain degree, it's even explored in fiction. Like, look at the primitive worlds in Warhammer 40K. That's a great example of kind of like taking advantage of that idea where it's like you've got this. I mean, it is a decaying society, but you do have this very technologically advanced like Imperium. But then you've got these backwater worlds where they're essentially living like peasants. I love that disparity. It's really fun. Makes for a nice contrast.
Another really good example, I think, is in the kind of semi setting of the video game RimWorld. Where
Ooh,
you have
RimWorld.
a lot of you have a lot of basically because humanity has spread out across using cryostasis and relativity is kind of a thing and all that. So humanity is across the entire galaxy, across billions of worlds, and they run the whole gamut. You have places that are tribal hellscapes, you got places that are going through their Renaissance period, you have all sorts of wacky stuff going on because people just keep reverting back or advancing on, or they go off and do their own things, and it's like a wide plethora of reasons that lead into people going into these different tech levels from higher and lower and all that.
Yeah, you're bound to have a regression in tech when you have like disputes like that, especially if it's like I don't know, especially if it's like a terrible war or like I don't know, because it's like a lot of humanity, and I guess you could lump in like other humanoid races, like we're very smart, but we're also like borderline amnesiac at times. And like having those different tech levels is like a great reminder of that. All right. It looks like the clock's up again, so it's going to be another 5 minutes. Another 5 minutes of riding. Here we go.
Sweet sauce.
And I believe that's another 5 minutes.
Oh, that was quicker than last time.
Either that or I forgot to set the timer. This is a problem, honestly.
I was gonna say, are we using the same metric of 5 minutes every time here?
I'm just looking over at the clock and saying, "Oh, it's 0." It must have ticked out, honestly.
Well,
It's up to you
Well,
guys.
that's
I can
enough.
reset the timer and we can go again, or I don't know. I'll let you all be
Yeah.
the judge.
or
Let's have a-
9:12, I guess. At what do you think, guys? 9:15, we start again.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm down for a 9:15.
Yeah.
3-minute break.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. During the last break, I had some homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, when you make your own ice cream, you can have it for breakfast because it's healthy.
Depends on what you put in it.
Exactly. You just the trick to ice cream is dairy or your, any form of milk you'd prefer, with some uh, whipping cream and whatever flavor you prefer. You freeze it.
I I want a bacon, egg, and cheese sundae.
I mean, you can if you want.
Bacon on anything makes it better, just immediately.
That's right.
I think I
It
had
is.
bacon ice cream once.
How was it?
I remember positive memories vaguely.
Bacon
had some,
tends to do that.
Burger
Homemade
King used to have
homemade strawberry and cherry ice cream made with real
That
strawberries
sounds
and
awesome.
cherries. Oh, the cherries are the best because you just like, it's an explosion of flavor in your mouth and you get diced up little portions of cherries throughout the ice cream.
Natural cherries are amazing. I can't stand
Mount
like
Rainier.
candy wax cherries or whatever they are.
Yeah.
But like
Mount
actual
Rainier
cherries,
Yes. Regular cherries are really great. They're very underrated.
yeah, black cherries are also like super good.
I don't think I've tried black cherries. I have to try it. Sounds like a grape.
Oh, they're very flavorful.
Yeah, I really recommend them. It's a good time.
Sounds like a porn movie. Black cherries.
Oh boy. Well, I didn't mean it quite in that sense, but you know what I'm saying. It's a real good time.
Yeah, well,
It
we
was
just hit 9:15.
Yep. So,
that was the first film starring Black Dynamite before he was Black Dynamite.
Oh boy.
all right. So it's 9:15. I'm going to go ahead and reset the timer and we're going to go another 5 minutes.
All right.
And there we are. Another 5 minutes come and gone.
Nice. I am approaching the ending of the story.
I'm not quite that far along, but it's been like a fun bit of like twist. It's like each time I go back, it's like there's a new thing going on. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting this to happen. So it's like, I don't know, it's a nice variety.
And I really got to thank you for doing this, Otter, because sitting down here actually forced myself to finally get through this last bit of this chapter I've been stuck on for the past week.
I've been getting back into the habit of writing in the evening. I normally like write or edit in the morning, and for me that's almost become second nature at this point. But I'm like, I've always wanted to double dip, so to speak. And
so far, overall in this session, I've got 1,300 words.
Hey,
see,
that's pretty good.
I was at 1,300 when I started total. Let's see, I'm at 2436. So yep.
Yeah, I was around 2,000 words when I started. Well, about 200.
Oh, nice.
I have no idea how many words I was at when I started, and I still don't know now. I honestly never paid attention to the word count, and that's probably why my last book was bigger than I wanted it to be.
Word count is about the best measure of like how long a book actually is. Like everything else is kind of in flux.
I found the word count feature or tool on World Anvil here. Apparently my article's at 658 words.
Oh, very nice.
So far I have defined strata as these little bubbler, or well, not necessarily bubbles, but just bits of pocket dimension formed by exotic matter collecting into place. And now I have kind of gotten the rough idea of their life cycle put into place, because they grow and polyp into more stratum, or more strata, until eventually they can kind of merge some of them together into sort of ecosystems and interconnection and all that. They become more interconnected with each other and grow bigger and bigger and bigger, until eventually they form what is called a zone.
It's actually kind of sickly and sick. I really like it.
I love hearing about fantasy world mechanics like that. In fact, Otter, bringing it back to the original question, a lot of the way the world formed when I made it was I started with ideas of different abilities and stuff, and I'm like, how can people have these kind of different abilities, and why, and what's the physics system? And that's how the world started getting built, by looking at what do I want them to be able to do, and how varied do I want it, and then I had to kind of tailor a physics system to that.
I go at it from the perspective in my approach where it's like I love the poetic approach you see in a lot of sort of like pulp magazines, and you'll also even see it in some like epic poems. I love that approach where it's more just kind of like little flourishes of like wordplay end up creating a whole new thing, and that just kind of makes me go, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And it's just kind of like stream of consciousness. So it's like I like how we're taking this from two entirely different angles, but coming up with cool new things. I love that.
Yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Exactly. There's more than one way to peel an apple.
So, yeah, the main method of this is like, so there's this substance in this setting that I'm making called Stygium, and it's the secret to all of their Clark tech. You know, you need it for FTL travel, because it basically makes reality unstable around itself in high densities.
You should have named it Unobtainium. I'm joking.
Yeah, if you're retarded, maybe.
You're right. I should also Unobtainium, and I should also write the entire manuscript in papyrus.
Exactly.
But now, so the idea right now that I got going is that if enough Stygium is accumulated into a single place, or it saturates the area, it eventually can create what is called a bleed zone. And it's called that because it's when basically the veil between reality and the other side of other realities, other timelines, other stuff like that, starts to bleed through. And once that gets bad enough, the Stygium causes the fabric of space-time to undergo a process that I'm calling differential derealization.
So basically, reality itself becomes more of a mythic underworld at that point.
Basically, what happens is that bubble of space-time detaches from our space, from the base of space-time. Basically, it forms a pocket dimension. A relatively invisible pocket dimension that you wouldn't realize you're entering until you're in it.
Sweet. Very sweet. Also, it looks like we're...
People in the world.
Also, it looks like we're right at time to begin writing once more.
Next paragraph.
Next paragraph we go. All right. 5 minutes are up. Wonderful.
Nice.
Things are getting a little heated now with my story. The soul has come across an ancient magic vase, or not even sure if it's magic, but there are like scaly type like primal creatures like guarding it, and they've got humans as slaves as well. It's a fun time.
Nice. Sweet sauce.
Sweet sauce.
Yeah.
Just needs to befriend a dinosaur, and him and his small family can make their way back home.
Everybody needs a dinosaur as a friend.
In my story, the totally benevolent cyberpunk government shot a rocket at the plane full of hostages, and now the villain must make a decision. Is he going to save somebody or just save himself?
Decisions. It is
I
proper
am
food for
curious
thought.
to see where that goes and see where his thought process takes him.
Yes.
That's actually kind of funny. I have a very similar kind of implied in my paragraph that I finished writing up here. I have a very similar kind of implied cavalier attitude towards civilian casualty with the last line here. Overzones. Zones can multiply into overzones that may endanger countless lives, destroy vast tracts of land, and worst of all, disrupt civil order.
Of course.
Indubitably.
Yeah, we don't need overzones to disrupt our civil order. We can disrupt it well enough on our own, thank you.
That is my
Precious
specialty.
That is our precious taxpayer dollars.
Won't someone think of the taxpayers?
Well, I now that I was done with the chapter, I was going to take those two scenes that were happening concurrently and start to thread them into each other, split up the paragraphs and like kind of jump back and forth but then James just said it a little bit ago, and I was like, you know what? I can do that on the redraft. I'm moving on to the next chapter, so I just started chapter 13.
There you go. And we have some extra company.
Yep.
Cuervo Tormenta.
That would be Stormcrow. Hello, Stormcrow.
What's up, bro?
Howdy. It has been a dog's age for a while there, gentlemen.
All right.
Diddly Stormcrow, how are you doing?
Hi diddly do.
Howdy.
Diddly
Diddly,
neighborino.
First off,
Oh, don't slanderize him.
sorry, what?
Have you come to join the stream?
No, yeah, I just wanted to say hi because it has been a dog's age, and I want to apologize for the long.
Well, I unfortunately you've been stuck. You are now stuck in the temporal displacement, and when we all start writing, you now have to start writing with us.
That is the law.
We've been caught in this
Oh.
time loop for about 15 years now, and I'm starting to miss the taste of food.
Please help. I can't escape.
He can't help. He's one of us now.
I'll stay here. I don't have to shovel snow in here.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you guys. Just wanted to say hi real quick before the stream started. But I don't think we met the Drama Goblin. You a new guy?
I don't think we've met either. Nice to meet you.
Howdy.
Feel free to
I
join us, Stormcrow.
Writing is a good habit.
Actually, it's kind of advantageous you showed up. The Drama Goblin had mentioned Grimderp earlier, and I really was curious to hear your take on Grimderp.
Grimderp. Ah, yes. Grimderp, in my honest opinion, is exactly like... Think of it like porn. Bear with me.
Okay.
Bear with me. Sometimes, porn can just serve its purposes. But sometimes, when you put in a little bit more extra effort, you get to care about the people playing in the porno. Okay? You with me so far?
I don't
Not
know.
exactly.
I'm starting to regret asking, actually.
I'm afraid to ask more.
So, Sir, are you comparing grimdark to misery porn? Because if so, 9 times out of 10, you're exactly right.
Well, that is exactly right. Oh, this stream is about to start. I can't write right now.
Yep. And
but-
it looks like the clock has hit 0, so it is time.
We got him. He's trapped.
It is time to mute and to write.
Just want to say hi. See you guys later. Hope to talk to you again soon. And hey, Drown Goblin, you look cool. We can talk later. Talk shop. Be safe, you guys. Take care.
God bless, Crow.
And there we are. Another 5 minutes come and gone. So I figure we can probably go another 2 to 3 rounds of riding before we ultimately end up wrapping this up. What say you guys?
Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
It's good to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I just finished putting the story together. It's done.
Hell yeah.
At least that
Okay.
episode.
I have another segment of my article finished, specifically the connective tissue of the stratum delta layers.
Ooh.
I called them that because their main defining thing is stygium flows between the layers like pressure differentials. So delta P being, and if you don't travel through these different layers correctly, it can kill you. Thus, I can say, died of delta P.
Oof. Now, is this an ongoing series you're working on, or is this a new thing?
New thing. I'm wanting it to be a series on World Anvil and YouTube and other whatnots. Basically, I'm going to be publishing it kind of like a episodic, volume-ish type of thing, kind of like Royal Road or some of
Nice,
those things
yeah.
like that.
That's what I'm doing as well. I just finished the episode, and I'm going to start using these next 3 sessions to write the episodes for a separate series that is yet to be released.
The current title for this project is Delvebound Kobold Company.
It's a really fun name. I love the... I have to say, though, I love the name Stygium. Maybe it's just because I'm a sucker for, like, just the word Stygia. Like, Stygian. Like, it's one of those things... It's a name / word that really kind of, like... It's very pleasing to the ears, at least for this otter.
The setting... Yeah, I'm really leaning hard into the 1920s diesel punk, Lovecraftian futurism almost, kind of taking that era but putting it in space a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of idea, and mixing in little sprinkles of mythology and high fantasy and all that sort of thing. Kind of working in, like, the kobolds, for example. They're very German. They're incredibly German because kobolds mythologically come from German folklore.
That is true.
And I kind of play into that a bit while mixing in elements of modern kobold lore and fantasy and all that sort of thing. So they're these little lizard people, and they mess around with they mess around with this special kind of alchemy where they mix stygium with other elements to create mutagens and all that sort of thing. And they got
Cool.
like this, and they're like these. They're popular for their use as cheap and efficient labor because they're tiny, so they can fit into tight corridors and ships and all that sort of thing.
I'll also be back really quickly, guys. Continue on without me.
Okay.
I'll be back in just a moment.
In German folklore, aren't kobolds more akin to gnomes?
Yes,
And
they're a
anything else?
variant. Yeah, they're a
I'll be
variant
back
of
as well.
goblins. Specifically, they were the idea of like goblins of the mines and whatnot, because a lot of their folklore kind of originated from. Specifically, their folklore has to do with a specific kobold called Little Hat, I believe, or something like, or no, it was Big Hat or something like that. Either way, the character in the legend was like a kind of a brownie type entity, described very similar to a brownie, very benevolent most of the time, but then it pulls a prank, quote unquote, by murdering a child in the household because the child insulted him, so he pulled a prank on him by murdering him. And kind of that's one of the specific stories of kobolds in the folklore, but it's they're a fae in the old lores.
In my series, the gnomes in that series,
I'm back.
in their culture, goblin is a derogatory term for goblins of criminal behavior.
You damn dirty goblin.
Yeah, it's a derogatory term for gnomes of criminal behavior. So goblins isn't a separate species in that world. It's an insult.
How dare you compare us to gnomes? That is very offensive. God,
Political correctness ain't my thing.
My
you
favorite.
can't. Well, I'll have you know, you can't say goblins without saying political correctness. Ignore the vast tracts of history. Ignore that. Stop reading through the book. Put that down.
Stop reading the history book. That's bad for you.
Stop trying to prove me wrong, you bastard thing.
I, Sir Reddit, am always right.
All right. Well, I'm actually at the bail early. My dog's begging for attention, so I need to take him out for a walk.
All right.
Aw. Give him scritches and belly rub.
We can probably go
Will
for
do.
like
Take it
one
easy,
more riding like session here, and then we can call it right after that.
Alrighty.
But yeah, the hearkening to the old folklore elements are they're very German culture kind of thing. I have some notes on that kind of thing. It's not like a one-to-one copy of it, but it's kind of high medieval German culture elements are incorporated. Also, they have their whole thing with taking weird metals and converting them in with Stygium into other things. That's a reference to the old folklore idea that kobolds are responsible for the element cobalt. Specifically, the idea that you would mine it thinking it's one thing, but then the minute it oxidizes, you reveal it's not the thing you were digging for. In their case, silver, and also it's toxic. And for the third thing, though, is like, I have this nice little detail that they have their social castes within their tribes, and they call those castes things like the big hats, the little hats, the thin hats. You know, they define it by hat size and the type of hat you wear.
There wouldn't happen to be any red caps that they deal with, are there?
Nah, red cap would be a goblin thing, because
The Powries.
Is red cap just a worse insult now?
that's the goblin that gets sent to solitary confinement.
Oh, I see.
Because he kept biting off people's bits.
Damn it, red cap! I told you not to do that.
Yeah, the Powries are also known as the red caps or bloody caps because they would after they kill their enemies, they dip their hats in the blood, turning it red. So the more red it was, the more accomplished they were.
All right. Time is back to 0 seconds, so we're going to go for one more writing session here, and then I think we're going to be good. So without further ado, another paragraph we go.
Let's rock.
Thank you, Raven. I started the timer. All right, time is up.
All right, I have filled out another paragraph specifically on Delta Psi, the incident of a two strata having a Stygium differential, causing travel between the two strata being extremely dangerous due to the high differential versus, say, a low strata or a low differential being safer.
Very nice. What about you, Wrangler? What have you got?
I am now 690 words. Nope, no, I'm sorry, 125 words. Those are characters, 690 characters. 125 words into chapter 13.
Cool.
Hey, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. I mean, it's not a lot, but when I've been stuck for the past week, I now finished a chapter and then starting a new one. So,
Hey,
yeah, again, thank you for doing this. It got me moving again.
hey, a little is better than nothing.
It really is, because when I've heard it from a lot of my professional friends in this business, the real secret is not high word count, it is consistent word count. And
Yep.
always trying to increase it, because right now I'm doing a thing to get back into production regularly of write at least 150 words a day kind of thing. And if I do that for 7 days straight without any interruption, I will increase that number to 200 words, so on and so forth. 50 word increments.
So I'm
Way to
at
break the day, you eventually get a wall.
so I'm at 20, like right under 3,000 words, and when I started I was at 1,300, so I think I made quite a bit of progress. What I have
Right.
isn't necessarily polished by any stretch, but hey, I'm not concerned about that for a first draft.
That's going to be a difficult habit for me to break because I usually polish as I go, and that's probably half my
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, that is a bad habit in my experience.
It is a bad habit.
And I don't know why I do it. You know, I'm going to reword everything when I go through.
No, it's instinctual. I've heard many other writers say similar things, so it's not just you. I've done that myself, and I kick myself whenever I see it, because I'm like, no, you're gonna be editing this anyways. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's a pain, but it's one of those habits. It's one of the habits you got that every writer pretty much has to work on at some point.
The problem
Speaking
is, I
of,
think I used it as a crutch too often as well, because whenever I was stuck, I would just go and start reading through it and like, yeah, that'll get me going, but then I stop and start polishing everything that happens before it. And yeah, I mean, every once in a while it might help, but for the most part, it's just holding me back, I think.
what I found though is, like, it's like Max said, it's about consistency. What I'm learning more is it's not about like focusing on a goal that's really getting me far. It's about just getting started. Because once I get started, it's easy to follow up with it. Like I want to go longer than I really have to at that point. Now that I've started, I want to keep going. It's just that it's that mental hurdle you have to overcome. I think that's a big key to consistency.
It really is. Sometimes it's like I sit down, I'm like, I got nothing. I don't want to do this, but I tap a few things, and next thing you know, I'm there for an hour, and I didn't realize it.
I think so. My goal over these last few writing sessions has been just write a sentence. If you can write a sentence, you'll be good. I get down, I write a sentence, and before you know it, I've written like 2 pages. I'm like, oh, well, that certainly went farther than I thought. But
It's revving the engine and watching it go, you know?
yeah. So on that note, I will actually recommend a book to everybody who's watching, anybody who's interested. A book that's been helping get me into more consistent writing and into higher throughput too is a book called Atomic Habits. It's a wonderful little book by James Clear, and it's all about building good habits and trying to fight back against not so good habits. It like, you would be surprised how just trying to change little small things in your life can lead to some very big changes, like very quickly, in fact.
Right. So it's what, the Atomic Habits?
Yeah, Atomic Habits, and the author's name is James Clear. That gets a solid recommendation from me, the Otter.
All right. Max, you said you're going to be putting this where? The story you're working on right now?
Probably gonna see if I can't publish it on World Anvil's story reading part on their site, and then seeing if I can bring it to other places like, say, AO3, YouTube, etc., etc.
Are you on Substack at all?
I think I have. I think I have an account on Substack, but I can't remember if I do or not, and I haven't visited the site in a while.
Gotcha.
All right. On that note, I think now's a good time for us to shill what we have to shill. So anything that you've made that you feel like you want to share, go ahead and tell us now. Tell the audience. I'll go ahead and say, Max, you have anything to share with the kind viewers?
Let me think on that.
Quick, play the Jeopardy theme song.
Well, all I can really shill overall is creativity, and also hopefully I can get some actual things to shill done, because I am perpetually working on things, but always delaying, and I'm hoping to beat that habit soon. I'm working right now. I'm on and off working on a video essay for a video game called Darktide, and kind of breaking down flaws in its design and what I like about it in its design, and kind of what a ideal Darktide would look like. Kind of that thing.
Very nice.
I also
And
get started on some more fan fiction projects.
very cool. Well, we're excited to hear about it, man. And yeah, every step that you take towards creating, the closer we get to sharing some awesome stuff with the world. So, Wrangler, you have anything to shill?
Yeah, you can find my books on Amazon, Haley Star Bad Kitty and Bad Kitty Haley's World. They are science fiction, magic-fueled adventures, and it's a good time. Haley and Elizabeth are a blast. Just go on Amazon, type in Bad Kitty and Frequency Studios. It should pop right up. Also, check out my Substack under Frequency Studios, where there's a follow-up story that takes place in the world. There's got nothing to do with Haley and Elizabeth. It's a completely separate story, but it takes place within that same continuity.
Oh, Substack. That's is that that's a website hosting service, or that's the thing for blogs, right?
Yeah, it's a huge
I
blog
think it was
website.
Oh,
social media for
I
all
was
who-
I was confusing it with Stack Exchange.
No, it's fine.
I don't need any
What
help
is-
with it. I don't know. Well, I don't know what
What is
HTML
Stack
help.
Exchange?
Stack Exchange is an online forum usually used by coders and internet developers.
Ah,
to
yeah.
get together and,
Oh,
code
so
and
it's for
internet
smarter
development.
people than me.
All right. Well, and on that note, I'll go ahead and recommend my book, which is Steel and Stormbright: The Curse of the Star Raids. If you like old school style swords and sorcery adventures with a little bit of a modern twist, not too much, just a little bit, I think you'll enjoy this tale about two brothers up against the world, trying to make their own way in life. It's got some amazing artwork by Neutron Boar and Umbrella Cat, and on top of that, you get to see some really cool battles, and of course, to put it in rather blunt terms, athletic tits, because who doesn't like that?
What
Anyways,
did you say the book was named?
The Curse of the Star Raids. I'm guessing Max is looking it up at the moment.
Pay no attention to the suspicious timing of when I started looking that up.
No, it's fine. It's fine. we're shilling here. It's all good. All's fair. All right.
Nah, but specifically, I was just checking if it's on. And I remember having one of you. I remember maybe having one of your books already on either Kindle or my Google app, and I was just checking to see which one or whatnot.
Yeah, if it has if it's a cover of two brothers standing right beside each other, one has like lightning kind of like spread between his hands, that's the one. That would be it. In either case, though, I think this is a good time for us to call it. Thank you all, everyone, for joining us for this wonderful writing stream, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
God bless everybody.
Bye.